There comes a quiet day in your life when something inside you loosens its grip, not because you gave up, but because you finally understood. You understand that chasing has never been love. Chasing has never been trust. Chasing has always been fear dressed up as effort. So many of us were taught that if we don't push, nothing will happen. If we don't struggle, we don't deserve. If we stop trying, life will forget us. But the truth is gentler than that and far more powerful. The moment you stop chasing, your body exhales, your shoulders drop, your heart softens. And in that softness, something miraculous happens. You become receptive. Life does not respond to tension. It responds to alignment. When you chase, you are saying, I don't have. When you chase, you are affirming lack, and life, always listening, reflects that back. But when you pause, when you choose peace over panic, when you say, I trust myself enough to wait, you send a very different message. You tell life, I am safe, I am worthy. I do not need to beg for what already belongs to me, and life listens. You don't need to convince anyone of your value. You don't need to explain your worth. You don't need to prove that you are enough. The more you chase validation, the further it feels. The more you chase love, the heavier it becomes. The more you chase success, the tighter it slips through your fingers, because chasing puts you outside yourself. But when you return home, to your breath, to your body, to your own approval, everything rearranges. Opportunities feel you before you see them. People sense your calm before you speak. Doors open not because you knocked harder, but because you stopped pushing against them. This is not laziness. This is trust. Trust that what is meant for you recognizes your energy. Trust that your presence is more powerful than your pursuit. Trust that ease is not weakness. It is wisdom. You were never meant to run after life. Life responds to clarity, not chaos, to self-respect, not desperation, to love, not force. The day you stop chasing is the day you remember who you are. And when you remember, life has no choice but to meet you there. Not rushing, not proving, not chasing, just allowing. And that is when everything begins to run toward you. Chasing does not begin with desire. It begins with fear. It begins with the quiet belief that if you stop moving, stop proving, or stop pushing, something important will disappear. On the surface, chasing looks like ambition, passion, or dedication, but underneath it is often driven by the anxiety of not having enough, not being enough, or not being chosen in time. Desire feels expansive and calm. Fear feels urgent and tight. When you are chasing, your body knows the difference long before your mind does. True desire has patience. It does not rush because it trusts its own worth. Fear, on the other hand, demands immediate results. It whispers that time is running out, that opportunities are scarce, and that you must act now or lose everything. This urgency creates tension in the body and noise in the mind. You start overthinking, overworking, and overcorrecting. What you call effort becomes strain, and what you call motivation becomes pressure. When fear is in control, you stop listening to yourself. You abandon your natural rhythm and begin moving according to imagined deadlines and external expectations. You compare your path to others and assume you are behind. You try to close the gap by forcing outcomes instead of allowing growth. This is why chasing feels exhausting. You are not moving towards something you love. You are running away from something you fear. Desire does not feel like running. It feels like alignment. It draws you forward without panic. It allows space for rest, reflection, and adjustment. When desire guides you, action feels inspired rather than compulsory. You move because it feels right, not because you are afraid of what will happen if you stop. Fear-based chasing cannot recognize this difference because it equates stillness with failure. Many people chase relationships from fear. They pursue attention, approval, or reassurance because silence feels threatening. They try to hold on tighter, explain more, and give more than they can sustain. This is not love. It is self-protection. Fear says, if I don't do enough, I will be abandoned. Desire says, I am worthy of connection that meets me halfway. One drains you, the other nourishes you. The same pattern appears in work and success. Fear-driven chasing tells you that rest is dangerous and ease is irresponsible. It convinces you that you must always be visible, productive, and available to matter, so you push through exhaustion and ignore intuition. Desire, however, values clarity over chaos. It understands that sustainable growth comes from balance, not burnout. Chasing also disconnects you from the present moment. You are always focused on what is missing, what is next, or what could go wrong. This keeps your nervous system in a constant state of alert. In that state, creativity shrinks, joy fades, and perspective narrows. You may reach your goal and still feel empty because the fear that fueled the chase has not been resolved. When you stop chasing, fear does not disappear immediately. It often becomes louder at first. It tells you that you are being careless, lazy, or unrealistic. But if you stay with the discomfort, something shifts. You begin to notice how much energy you were spending trying to control outcomes that were never fully in your hands. You feel the relief of no longer performing for approval or racing against invisible clocks. Letting go of chasing does not mean giving up on your desires. It means changing the energy behind them. You move from proving to trusting, from forcing to allowing. You still take action, but it is grounded and intentional. You respond instead of react. You choose clarity over compulsion. As fear loosens its grip, desire becomes clearer. You can tell the difference between what you truly want and what you were afraid to lose. You become more selective, more patient, and more present. You stop asking, how do I get this faster? And start asking, does this align with who I am becoming? Life responds differently when you are no longer chasing. Your energy feels settled rather than scattered. People sense your self-respect. Opportunities meet you with less resistance. Not because you demanded them, but because you are no longer pushing against yourself. Chasing was never about reaching the destination. It was about not trusting yourself to arrive. When that trust returns, fear loses its authority, desire can finally lead, and movement becomes natural again, steady, calm, and deeply fulfilling. Over-effort is rarely about commitment or passion. More often, it is a quiet confession of lack. When you push beyond what feels natural, when you strain to make things happen, you are not affirming confidence in yourself or in life. You are signaling that you believe something essential is missing and must be forced into existence. Life responds not only to what you say or do, but to the state of being behind your actions. Over-effort carries the message of urgency, scarcity, and mistrust. There is a difference between inspired action and strained effort. Inspired action feels focused and clean. It comes with a sense of clarity and inner agreement. Strained effort feels heavy. It is driven by fear of falling behind, being overlooked, or not getting enough. When you over-effort, your body tightens, your breath shortens, and your mind becomes fixated on results. You may call this discipline, but your nervous system experiences it as threat. Life does not respond well to force because force assumes resistance. When you push, you are uncon, zealously expecting obstacles, rejection, or delay. That expectation shapes your perception. You start noticing every small setback as proof that you must push harder. This creates a cycle where effort increases but ease disappears. The more you try to control outcomes, the more distant they feel. Over-effort often comes from the belief that worth must be earned through struggle. Many people are taught that ease is undeserved and rest is irresponsible. So they work longer, give more, explain more, and tolerate more than they should. They believe that if they stop, everything will collapse. This belief keeps them locked in survival mode, constantly proving their value instead of embodying it. When you act from lack, you are focused on what is not here yet. Your attention is on the gap between where you are and where you think you should be. That gap becomes the dominant signal you send out. Life mirrors that focus by keeping you in a state of reaching. You may achieve milestones, but satisfaction remains temporary because the inner sense of enoughness was never addressed. Ease, on the other hand, is not passive. It is grounded. It arises from trust in your capacity to respond rather than control. When you trust, you still take action, but you are not attached to every outcome. You allow space for timing, feedback, and adjustment. This flexibility keeps your energy open instead of contracted. Life moves more freely through openness. Over-effort also distorts intuition. When you are pushing, you override subtle signals that guide you toward better choices. You ignore fatigue, misalignment, and emotional cues because stopping feels unsafe. Over time, this creates burnout, ND confusion. You may find yourself doing more but receiving less, working harder but feeling further away from what you want. Letting go of over-effort can feel frightening at first. The mind equates relaxation with loss of control. It warns that things will slow down or disappear. But when you begin to soften your grip, you notice something unexpected. Your actions become more effective. Your communication becomes clearer. You stop scattering your energy across too many directions and start responding to what actually matters. Life responds to coherence. When your inner state and outer actions match, movement becomes smoother. You are no longer sending mixed signals of desire and fear at the same time. You are not asking for abundance while acting from desperation. You are not asking for connection while bracing for rejection. The signal becomes clean and consistent. Over-effort says, I don't trust that this will come to me unless I suffer for it. Relaxed effort says, I am willing to show up without punishing myself. That shift changes everything. You begin to receive support, ideas, and opportunities in ways that feel natural rather than forced. You notice that what aligns with you does not require constant pressure to stay. Life is not withholding in response to your struggle. It is responding to the tone of your energy. When that tone softens from lack to sufficiency, from fear to trust, the outer experience adjusts. You realize that effort was never the problem. It was the belief beneath it. And when that belief changes, effort transforms into flow, and lack no longer needs to speak for you. Tension is a subtle thief. It hides in the shoulders, the jaw, the gut, and the mind, and yet it affects everything we try to receive. Opportunities, love, clarity, and guidance all require a certain openness to flow, and tension closes the door before these things can arrive. When your body is tight, your breath shallow, and your thoughts racing, you are sending a signal to life that says, consciously or unconsciously, I am not ready to receive. You are alert, defensive, and resistant, even if you are unaware of it. Tension often arises from the feeling that you need to control outcomes. You try to manipulate situations, anticipate every possible obstacle, and hold on tightly to what you think is yours. This constant gripping creates contraction inside and around you. Your energy becomes focused on barriers instead of possibilities. In this state, life cannot flow naturally to you because the signal you emit is not one of openness, but of strain. The universe responds to your inner state, not just your actions. When tension dominates, it also distorts perception. You start interpreting neutral or helpful signs as threats or challenges. Every minor delay becomes a problem. Every unexpected change feels like a setback, and every interaction is weighed with anxiety. This narrowing of perspective reinforces the tension, creating a feedback loop that pushes what you want further away. You are too busy bracing against life to notice that life has already made space for you. Releasing tension is not about giving up or avoiding responsibility. It is about alignment. When your body relaxes, your breath deepens, and your mind quiets, you create space to notice what is already present. Inspiration, guidance, and solutions emerge more easily. When you are receptive rather than combative, life works in a rhythm, and tension disrupts that rhythm by forcing your energy into resistance. Emotional tension carries similar effects. Fear, anger, frustration, and worry tighten the chest and cloud the mind. Holding on to these emotions signals a lack of trust, and the world responds accordingly. People may retreat, opportunities may feel elusive, and situations that would normally unfold easily seem difficult. Emotional tension is like carrying a heavy weight that prevents you from reaching out to what is available. When you allow yourself to release it, even partially, a subtle shift occurs. You can think more clearly, see solutions more readily, and attract experiences that match your relaxed state. Even small areas of tension can have outsized effects. A clenched jaw may prevent you from speaking with clarity. A stiff posture may block your natural magnetism. And a racing mind may stop you from recognizing signs that are meant for you. Life does not see the distinction between effort and strain. It reacts to the totality of your energy, which is why tension, no matter how small, can interrupt the flow. Letting go of tension is not always instantaneous. It requires awareness and practice. You notice where your body holds tightness, where your mind spins, and where your emotions are braced. You then allow yourself to soften, breathe, and release, even just a little at a time. These small releases accumulate, creating an inner state of openness that life can respond to. When tension is released, the difference is tangible. Ideas come more freely. Connections feel lighter. Opportunities appear with less struggle. You begin to notice that the obstacles you once thought were everywhere were, in large part, a reflection of your own inner state. Releasing tension does not mean inaction. It means acting from a place of clarity and receptivity. Decisions become more intuitive, efforts become more effective, and your presence naturally draws what is aligned with you. The paradox is that by letting go of tension, you do not lose control, you gain it in a more authentic sense. You are no longer trying to force life to bend to your will. Instead, you allow life to move through you, revealing paths, possibilities, and synchronicities that tension would have obscured. Life responds to ease, not pressure. Opportunities, relationships, and guidance are attracted to energy that is open, flexible, and relaxed. Tension blocks reception because it signals resistance. Release tension, and you signal readiness. Ease allows clarity, alignment, and flow. When you understand this, the process of receiving becomes effortless. Life does not compete with your openness, it responds. Your work is to soften, to trust, and to stay aware so that what is meant for you can move toward you naturally. Life does not bend to force. No amount of pushing, demanding, or controlling can make reality shift in a way that feels lasting or effortless. When you attempt to force outcomes, you are acting from a place of resistance, tension, or lack. Force is an expression of disbelief in the natural flow of life. It comes from the fear that what you want will never arrive unless you drag it into existence. Alignment, on the other hand, is quiet, deliberate, and magnetic. It does not need to prove itself, and it does not ETE with reality. Life responds to it effortlessly because alignment communicates trust, clarity, and readiness. When you try to force something, you create friction between your energy and the energy of life. You act as if life is separate from you, something outside that must be conquered or manipulated. This creates strain and often leads to frustration, disappointment, and exhaustion. You may appear busy and productive, but the results are scattered and temporary. Outcomes achieved through force are fragile because they are not supported by the natural currents of possibility. The more you push, the more resistance appears and the less life flows toward you. Alignment is different. Alignment begins within. It is the state in which your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony with what you truly want. It is not a forced agreement or a rehearsed performance. It is a deep knowing that you are capable, worthy, and ready to receive. When you act from alignment, your energy resonates with what you are seeking, and the world responds accordingly. Doors open not because you demanded they would, but because your presence and energy allowed them to. The key to alignment is clarity. When your inner state is clear, when your intentions are genuine and free from doubt or desperation, you naturally take actions that feel inspired rather than compelled. You notice opportunities that others might overlook, and you can respond to them with ease. Your decisions are guided not by fear or pressure, but by intuition and trust. This does not mean you remain passive. It means your actions are coherent, purposeful, and in rhythm with life, rather than a series of frantic attempts. To control outcomes. Force often stems from the belief that the external world is unreliable. You assume that if you do not push, life will fail to provide. This assumption drives over-effort, tension, and compulsive behavior. It disconnects you from the natural order because it asks life to conform to your timing rather than your readiness. Alignment, however, trusts that what is meant for you cannot be lost. It understands that the right outcomes, opportunities, and experiences will appear when the energy behind them is steady and open. When you are aligned, you communicate more than words can express. Your energy becomes coherent, attracting people, situations, and circumstances that match your state of being. Relationships deepen, opportunities appear with timing that feels perfect, and challenges are met with solutions rather than struggle. Life moves through you rather than against you. You do not push, you allow. You do not chase, you respond. You do not demand, you trust. Over time, you begin to notice the difference between force and alignment in subtle ways. Force leaves a residue of stress, fatigue, and dissatisfaction, even when progress is made. Alignment, however, leaves a sense of ease, flow, and fulfillment. Achievements attained through alignment feel effortless, organic, and satisfying. Even setbacks are met with clarity and resilience, because your energy remains grounded rather than scattered. Acting from alignment requires self-awareness. It demands that you observe your thoughts, emotions, and motivations honestly. Are you acting from desire or desperation, from trust or anxiety, from curiosity or fear? Alignment is present when your actions are free from compulsion, when your energy feels open rather than tight, and when your inner state is calm and receptive. Life mirrors this state back to you in tangible ways, creating a natural cycle of attraction, opportunity, and fulfillment. Life does not respond to effort that is misdirected or energy that is fractured. It responds to coherence, trust, and resonance. When your inner state matches your outer actions, you create a magnetic field that life cannot resist. This is the essence of alignment, not struggling, not forcing, but being fully present, confident, and attuned to your own energy. When this happens, everything you desire moves toward you naturally, and you find that you are no longer chasing, pushing, or demanding. You are simply flowing, and life flows with you. Calm is often underestimated. Many believe that power comes from action, intensity, or visibility, but the quiet energy of calm carries a force that is far more magnetic and effective. Calm is not passivity. It is not resignation. It is the grounded state from which clarity, influence, and inner authority emerge. When you are calm, you are in alignment with yourself, and that alignment projects an energy that others, circumstances, and even opportunities respond to. It communicates confidence, stability, and trust in a way that frantic effort or aggression never can. Calm begins in the body. When your muscles are relaxed, your breath is steady, and your posture is natural, you signal to yourself and the world that you are secure. This security allows your mind to function with clarity rather than chaos. Tension, anxiety, and urgency obscure judgment and distort perception. Calm on the O. Their hand opens a window for insight. It gives you space to see possibilities that were previously hidden beneath stress or panic. Decisions made from a calm state are not reactive. They are intentional, precise, and effective. Calm also affects your interactions with others. People are naturally drawn to a presence that feels steady and composed. Calm communicates competence without arrogance, authority without aggression. It inspires trust because it demonstrates that you are not swayed by every disturbance or emotion. While chaos pushes people away or triggers defensiveness, calm attracts collaboration, cooperation, and support. This is one of the hidden forms of power. It does not command with force, but magnetizes through stability. Another aspect of calm is its relationship with perception. When you are calm, you notice details and patterns that a frantic mind misses. Opportunities that would have slipped by in a state of stress become visible. You are able to anticipate challenges and respond gracefully rather than being consumed by reaction. Calm allows your energy to be directed purposefully rather than scattered by tension or fear. This strategic use of energy amplifies effectiveness, turning seemingly small actions into results that feel effortless. Calm is also contagious. Your inner state influences the environment around you. A composed presence can de-escalate conflicts, encourage rational thinking, and stabilize turbulent situations. It creates a ripple effect where others mirror your energy. This form of power is subtle but profound because it shapes outcomes without coercion or confrontation. It is not about dominating a situation. It is about mastery in your own energy so that life flows in response to it. Calm is a form of power because it allows you to act rather than react. When emotions are turbulent or the mind is frantic, every choice is clouded by urgency or bias. Calm provides the mental and emotional space necessary to evaluate options, discern priorities, and take action with precision. It enables you to act in ways that are both effective and aligned with your long-term goals. In contrast, forceful or reactive energy often produces temporary results but leaves residual chaos. The power of calm is also evident in how it conserves energy. Frantic activity, overexertion, and reactive behavior drain mental, emotional, and physical resources. Calm preserves energy while maximizing impact. It allows you to move strategically, act decisively, and recover quickly from setbacks. Energy spent in tension, worry, or haste is energy that cannot be invested in creation, growth, or opportunity. Calm redirects this energy toward productive and meaningful outcomes. Moreover, calm is a form of power because it signals self-trust. It demonstrates to yourself and to the world that you are capable of handling challenges without panicking or forcing solutions. This internal authority is felt by others, often more profoundly than words or actions could convey. People sense your stability and are drawn to it, whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or everyday interactions. Calm acts as a silent declaration that you are grounded and capable. Finally, calm is a power that lasts, whereas force, intensity, or urgency can create temporary effects. Calm establishes a foundation of enduring influence. It shapes perception, opens doors, and attracts outcomes in a way that feels effortless yet profound. It does not rely on manipulation, pressure, or external validation. Its strength lies in consistency, presence, and the subtle authority of inner peace. Calm is not a weakness. It is not absence of action. It is the ultimate expression of mastery over self and circumstances. From calm, life responds, opportunities emerge, and influence is felt naturally. Calm is a form of power because it does not demand. It allows, it aligns, and it magnetizes. It is the quiet force behind every meaningful, lasting, and effortless achievement. When you chase, you are speaking a silent message to yourself and to life. I don't have enough. I am not enough. What I want is beyond my reach unless I push harder, try longer, or convince someone to give it to me. Chasing is often mistaken for ambition, desire, or dedication, but at its core, it arises from a feeling of lack. It is born from the fear that what you want will slip away if you do not act urgently, persistently, and forcefully. This underlying belief, unspoken but powerful, shapes your energy and colors the reality you experience. Every act of chasing carries this affirmation. When you pursue someone's attention, approval, or love, you are telling yourself that you are incomplete without it. When you push for success, recognition, or wealth, you are sending the message that you do not already possess what you need to feel worthy. The effort, the anxiety, the overplanning, and the restlessness are all signals of inner scarcity. The world responds not only to actions, but to the energy behind them, and chasing creates a vibration of absence, rather than presence. Chasing also creates a sense of tension and urgency that blocks reception. The more you reach for what you feel you lack, the more your attention focuses on absence instead of abundance. Your mind and body become consumed with proving, attaining, or controlling. Every action becomes a test, every outcome a measure of your worth. In this state, life mirrors the very lack you are trying to escape. Opportunities that might have been visible in a calm, receptive state become obscured. People sense the urgency in your energy, and it often pushes them away, not toward you. When you chase, your nervous system reacts as if you are in a state of threat. The body perceives pressure and tension as danger. Your breathing may shorten, your muscles may tighten, and your heart may race. In this state, clarity and intuition diminish. Instead of noticing subtle signals or following inspired guidance, you act from anxiety, habit, or compulsion. The inner affirmation of "I don't have" manifests as stress and overexertion, creating a self-reinforcing loop where your efforts seem endless, yet fulfillment feels just out of reach. Chasing also distorts the perception of time and effort. You begin to believe that speed and intensity equate to effectiveness. You measure progress by how much you do or how quickly you achieve something, rather than by the alignment of your actions with your inner truth. The affirmation of lack drives a cycle of comparison, impatience, and dissatisfaction. You see what others have and feel you are behind. You worry that opportunities will disappear if you do not act faster. This cycle feeds the same message: you are not enough as you are. True attraction and alignment operate differently. When you move from chasing to receiving, the energy changes completely. By releasing the compulsion to force outcomes, you stop affirming scarcity and start embodying sufficiency. You begin to recognize that your worth is not contingent on attainment. Your energy shifts from desperation to presence, from trying to prove yourself to trusting your place in the flow of life. In this state, opportunities, connections, and abundance begin to respond naturally, appearing in ways that feel effortless and timely. Chasing also affects relationships and connections. When you pursue others from a place of lack, you may overgive, over-explain, or overcompensate. You are attempting to fill a perceived emptiness with external validation. The subtle message you are sending is, "I am incomplete. I need this from you to feel whole." People can sense this energy, and while they may respond initially, the relationship lacks balance. When you stop chasing and instead center yourself in your own completeness, interactions become reciprocal, natural, and fulfilling. Your presence alone communicates value and worth. Even in career or personal goals, chasing is counterproductive. The harder you push from a sense of not enough, the more obstacles seem to arise. Life does not mirror the intensity of your effort, but rather the state of your energy. When you stop chasing, you stop reinforcing absence. Instead, you signal readiness, confidence, and openness. You are able to act with discernment and clarity, pursuing what aligns with you rather than reacting to fear or scarcity. Ultimately, chasing is a declaration of lack disguised as ambition. It consumes energy, breeds anxiety, and blocks fulfillment. When you recognize this, you can choose a different path, one where your actions flow from presence, trust, and alignment. By releasing the chase, you stop affirming "I don't have" and instead allow life to reflect back the wholeness, sufficiency, and abundance that has always been within you. In that shift, what once seemed distant begins to come effortlessly, naturally, and fully into your experience.